On the 21st of October, the Street Profits debuted on Monday Night Raw after being a backstage presence for months. Their triumphant victory over the OC alongside Kevin Owens in the main event could be a symbol of everything this team could achieve. In an era seeing the New Day's dominance dry up, the tag team picture is crying for a charismatic duo. They found it in the form of Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. But how did one athlete from Ohio and a former Marine from Chicago become the next big things in tag team wrestling? This is Wrestling Hub, and today we are looking at 10 things you did not know about the Street Profits. Montez Ford was born Kenneth Crawford and raised by a single mother in Southside, later in Anson County, North Carolina. Being an accomplished track athlete in high school, Montez spent 4 years serving in the Marine Corps, working as a contractor for the U.S. Navy prior to joining the WWE in 2015. Angelo Dawkins was also an athlete, and he excelled at 3 different collegiate sports, having 3 national titles in football, wrestling, and track, and came to the company in 2012. Both men joined NXT at important parts in the history of the promotion. Dawkins was there when FCW became NXT in 2012, while Ford joined the brand when Kevin Owens and Finn Balor were doing battle. Dawkins made his pro wrestling debut at a live event in December of 2012, losing to Sawyer Fulton. He made his TV debut in June of 2013 on an episode of NXT in a loss against Sami Zayn, and continued to make sporadic appearances as a jobber for about 3 years. Ford made his debut in a battle royal at a live event on September 29th in Fort Pierce, Florida. He then continued to make appearances at NXT house shows, suffering an injury in May of 2016, which kept him on the shelf for about 3 months. After returning, he formed a tag team with Angelo Dawkins, and the pair became tag team champions at NXT TakeOver 25. Dawkins had a tough time breaking through NXT, joining the brand during its inception. His 7-year tenure was the longest anyone had ever spent on the yellow brand, and Dawkins has spoken about why it took him so long to break out of developmental. Speaking with Byron Saxton, Dawkins spoke about how it took him longer to develop his in-ring talent due to confidence issues. He gave his credit to Cassius Ohno, Tyler Breeze, Rusev, and Aiden English for helping him develop into a champion, saying their help made him become looser inside the ring and have fun while wrestling. As Dawkins finally had his first match on the main roster in October of 2019, teaming with Ford and Kevin Owens to beat AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows. Montez Ford has often been compared with pro wrestling titan The Rock. This is a comparison that Ford is aware of as he tries his best to strive to that level of greatness. The cheeky Ford has even imitated The Rock inside the ring, attempting a rock bottom and people's elbow against Bobby Fish of the Undisputed Era. Montez Ford, while speaking to Lillian Garcia on her podcast, spoke about how he was a fan of the old WWE games, especially the SmackDown games featuring Rock, and has been a lifelong fan of pro wrestling. I watched it my entire life growing up, so I knew all the legends and everything, announcers, and every SmackDown game from 1 all the way up. The transition, it was easy in the essence of knowing wrestling and watching it, but it was ground zero because now it's learning how they did all this stuff. While Ford may have idolized Rock growing up, he still has a long way to go before he can stand toe-to-toe with the Great One. Dawkins was not on the path to being a wrestler. He was a phenomenal athlete in college, but none of the sports he was excelling at endeared him to a career for something like WWE, apart from amateur wrestling. Not only that, his mother forbade him from watching pro wrestling. His credentials as an amateur wrestler, however, was what eventually got him signed by WWE when Gerald Briscoe saw the man compete. After Briscoe expressed interest in Dawkins and proved they were being serious, Dawkins familiarized himself with the product and realized that he could succeed in the sport. He told Lillian Garcia what sparked it was honestly the trash talking. I like talking smack a lot. Don't get me wrong, I was very scared of the promos when I first got here. For some reason, it took me so long to realize I've just got to be like how I am at home in front of the camera. Now we just spoke about how Dawkins got into wrestling because he enjoyed trash talking as well as his fear of cutting promos. Let's talk about his journey before he was actually comfortable in front of a camera or with a microphone. While nowadays both members of the Street Profits look most at home while they're entertaining a crowd, Dawkins did not necessarily hit it off instantly with his talking abilities. Speaking to Lillian Garcia on the Chasing Glory podcast, Dawkins spoke about this one promo that he had done in NXT. This was during the infamous promo classes with Dusty Rhodes that early NXT recruits were a part of. Dawkins spoke about how people made fun of his large head by calling him Jug. In front of other recruits like Aiden English, Dawkins went on to cut a promo about being called Jug, which he himself considered one of the worst promos in the history of wrestling. The promo was then reviewed by Dusty as being so bad that it was actually good. It's safe to say he's come a long way since. Now that we've touched on Dawkins getting into wrestling, we can talk about his partner Ford's experience as well. Speaking to Sam Roberts on the Not Sam podcast, he discussed his transition from the Marine Corps to wrestling. He spoke about the lack of upward mobility that he saw in the military and decided that a career in wrestling was the best way he could take care of his family. He kept spamming WWE HR with pictures and videos of his progress until they finally called him for a tryout and subsequently signed him to a contract with NXT. Ford and Dawkins were drifting in the NXT sphere until they were put together. Ford was returning from an injury and had developed a backstage friendship with Dawkins. It was a natural pairing, and it was really confusing why they never thought of this earlier. Ford has said everything we've seen come from the pair ever since they were out together has been a result of two friends bouncing ideas off each other. They ascended after winning a 4-way ladder tag match for the NXT Tag Team titles where they defeated Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, the Forgotten Sons, and the Undisputed Era. And of course they would lose these titles to O'Reilly and Fish of the Undisputed Era after being called up to Raw. WWE have a great relationship with indie promotion Evolve, even broadcasting their shows on the WWE Network. Also, they have a talent sharing agreement which sees NXT talent sent to Evolve for certain events. Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Matt Riddle, Killian Dane, Cassius Ohno, and Walter have all had appearances in Evolve, with Riddle being signed to NXT while still serving as their world champion. The Street Profits have also been a factor of the NXT and Evolve partnership and have done more than a few appearances. While going to Evolve to develop their skills, Dawkins and Ford became Evolve Tag Team Champions at Evolve 114, defeating the Doom Patrol. They've made defenses against the Workhorsemen, AR Fox and Leon Ruff, Austin Theory and Harlan Bravado, and the Skulk. They lost their titles to the Unwanted at Evolve 123. Ford went to the US Marine Corps after graduating high school, and he ended up at a plastic company working 12-hour shifts, and even worked as a contractor. He used to apply for governmental jobs to keep his family afloat. While talking about Ford's family, we come across NXT sensation Bianca Belair. Belair has competed for the NXT Women's title but has never won it. She got engaged with Ford in 2017, then married in 2018. When it comes to personal life, Angelo Dawkins was born in Fairfield, Ohio, and was an amateur wrestler at college where he was scouted by WWE.
What did you just say?
Did I stutter? I said, we want the smoke.
Hey.
We want the smoke.
We've already given a lot of hyperbole about how Ford may end up being the next Rock and how Dawkins is one of the most well-rounded stars. Is there substance to it beyond just what we've said though? Yes, there is. Ford and Dawkins have been flying under the radar for a while, not being the biggest priority on NXT nor Raw. However, their tireless work and consistent performances have seen them become highly regarded prospects. They had a great stint on NXT but could have been tag team champions longer, but it was short due to them being drafted. And these were 10 things you didn't know about the Street Profits. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later in the next video.